Breaking a $100 bill at a shady 7-Eleven is a bad idea. This happened a few years ago. It's not creepy in the sense of serial killers or anything like that, but more like, shit, I'm about to get robbed. It was about midnight one night a few years back, and I have a hankering for this local hole-in-the-wall hot dog place a few miles up the road. One chili cheese dog and one everything dog. Gotta tear it down. On the way there, I realize I only have a $100 bill, and this place doesn't take anything over 50, so I stop at my local gas station only to be turned down to break change. After 3 stops, I finally come to a 7-Eleven in a more shady part of town. Behind the 7-Eleven is known as Hooker Alley. I poke in and ask the guy, "Hey man, if I grab a soda, will you break 100?" And I was so excited to hear him say sure. As I hand him the money, he starts counting out loud, as we were the only people in the store. Just as he gets into the 80s, a guy walks in and hears the teller count, 90, 95, and he turns around and back out the door. Fuck, I just thought. This guy's gonna definitely wait for me outside. Why else would he just turn around after hearing the exact amount of money I'm getting? I walk out and see this guy standing next to the passenger side window and 2 other guys in the car. "Hey, my man, we're trying to get to the beach and need some money for gas. Can you spot us some cash?" There is no way that story is true. For one, this 7-Eleven does not have a gas station, and second, there is a gas station 1 parking lot over. Why did he not originally park in the gas station if he's looking to ask people for gas money? By the time he finishes asking, I am already at my driver door and have the door a bit open. I drop one leg in and start to lower myself into the car so that I can grab the buck knife I use to keep between my door and my seat. "Sorry man, I don't have any money to give you." "I just saw you get some cash from the guy in the store." "And? Still doesn't mean I have to give you, just means I have some." "Come on, man. Just like $10. He walks towards me, but has maybe 3 to 4 car spaces before he is at my car, and I see one of the backseat doors open, like one of the other guys is getting out. I slam the door shut and roll the fuck out. Let me say, chili cheese dogs taste best when you know you almost got jumped for it. Saved from being kidnapped abroad by a 7-Eleven clerk. This one's not as creepy as some of the other stories on here, but it's a creeper story nonetheless. When I was about 15, I went on a school trip to a neighboring country. We were staying in quite a nice hotel with a 7-Eleven less than half a mile walk away. My school was pretty loose, so the teachers allowed us to walk to the 7-Eleven whenever we wanted, just as long as we had another person with us. One night, at about 9 p.m., my friend and I decided to go get some food. Side note, we are both girls. As we're walking there, a gold car, very recognizable, slowed down next to us. The windows rolled down to reveal 4 men, all about in their mid-20s in army uniforms. They started catcalling and wolf whistling and making us feel uncomfortable in general. We scoffed and kept walking, hoping they would leave us alone. Eventually, they drove off, but about 30 seconds later, they drove past us again, clearly having made a U-turn at the end of the road. This time, their calls were a lot more creepy, saying that we were their type and that it was going to be a fun night. My friend and I were only half a block from the 7-Eleven, so we ran inside, looking understandably panicked. We started browsing the store, but were too freaked out to buy anything. We were just about to leave when we noticed headlights passing the store windows. We turned to the front door and saw the gold car slowly doing circles around the car park. My friend and I really started freaking out, at which point the clerk in the store noticed. He asked us if we were okay, and we explained the situation to him. He said he'd handle it and went outside. We saw him lean into the gold car and making hand motions as if telling them to go away. The gold car drove off, and we breathed a sigh of relief. We thanked the clerk and bought some food. Just as we were about to leave again, the clerk made a weird face at the door. "Hang on a second," he said. The clerk walked out of the store far enough just to see around the corner. He came back in very calmly and asked us to follow him to the back of the store. Girls, I don't want to frighten you, but the car is parked around the corner, and only the driver is in it. My friend and I asked what we should do, if we should call the police or something, but the clerk said that because the men were wearing military clothing, it was unlikely the police would be on our side. He said several girls in the city had gone missing in similar circumstances, and nothing was ever done. The clerk told us his car was parked around the back of the shop, and if we were quick enough, we could get in and drive off without being seen by the gold car. Immediately, I was skeptical about getting into a car with a stranger, but it was our only shot. We ran to the car, jumped in, and the clerk, thankfully, dropped us safely at the hotel. We told the teachers what had happened, and after that, a rule was created that if you were leaving the hotel, it was in a group of 3 with at least one boy. We went back a few times afterwards to thank the clerk again, but only during the day. Gummy vitamins. Going to 7-Elevens today still gives me chills because of this incident. Bit of backstory. I am female, was 15 at the time, fairly petite, and dangerously polite. My brother was 12. My cousin was 4 years old but was, and still is, much taller and more built than his age, as he takes after his giant of a father. It's the summer of 2013, so sorry if some details are a little bit fuzzy, and my parents are struggling with their finances, so we can't go on any fancy vacations. They ship us off to our aunt and uncle's place a couple towns over. They're happy to have us as my cousin is an only child and like having someone to play with. It's our 4th or 5th, I can't really remember, day there. It was a Saturday. My uncle works in a nearby city and is finally back from an extended stay. He wants to take us to a zoo about 45 minutes from their house, and it's really big and has a great elephant exhibit. My aunt decides not to go, as she's recovering from a bad ankle sprain, so my uncle decides to take all 3 of us by himself. Was this the smartest idea? Probably not, but I was more than capable of helping to look after my brother and cousin, and had done it multiple times by myself before. My uncle is also huge, as mentioned. He stands at about 6'5" and weighs a solid 240. He looks really intimidating too, with a clean-shaved head and big muscles. However, the phrase gentle giant has never applied more to someone else. We drive for about 20 minutes before we stop at a gas station to use a restroom, get drinks and snacks, stretch, etc. It's your standard 7-Eleven, but more long from entrance to back of the store than it is wide, if that makes sense. The drinks are out in the back of the store, so after using the bathroom, we go there. My uncle wants to buy chips as he has a serious savory tooth and heads to the next aisle to check the selections out. My brother is being impossible about his drink choice, so we're standing there trying to decide what to get when a guy enters the same aisle as us. Keep in mind, it's been all of 2 minutes since our uncle left us. He's sort of old, maybe late 50s, and looks a lot like Santa Claus. It sounds crazy saying it now, but for a second I was genuinely stunned into thinking this guy was the jolly fat man from Christmas movies. White hair, a bit of white beard, small little spectacles covering twinkling eyes, and a bun nose lightly tinted pink. I think his appearance lulled me into a less suspicious state. The only thing that didn't resemble Santa was his outfit, something more summer appropriate I can't put my finger on today, and the type of twinkle in his eye. Sure, Santa may have liked kids, but he didn't like them that much. He starts off by lingering 5 feet away from us, pretending to check out drinks while glancing over from time to time. My guard is up, but I just grip both my brother and cousin's hands and remind myself that my uncle is just the next aisle over. He slowly inches closer to us with a weird shuffling motion, and when he's about a foot away, he smiles really widely. "Your brother's really adorable," he says really quietly, almost in a whisper. My grip automatically tightens on my brother's hand, but then I realize it's my baby cousin the guy is talking about, as he's staring right at him. At this point, the dangerously polite part of my brain kicks in, and I say thank you. Stupid, I know, but although I'm not naive, some of the manners drilled into my head always comes back to me at the worst times. Besides, my cousin was pretty cute, as he was a bit chubby and had big brown eyes, rosy cheeks, and a dimpled smile. My brother has yet to acknowledge the guy as he didn't hear him and is concentrated on picking his drink. The guy inches a bit closer as I inch a little away and try to push my brother and pull my cousin as unnoticeably as possible. I have a granddaughter close to his age. Why don't you get in my car and I'll take you to her so your brother and her can play? I look young for my age, but I must have looked especially young that day if that guy thought I was going anywhere near him or his car. No thank you, sir. I tried to say it as firmly and menacingly as possible, raising my voice a little. The guy notices and looks a little panicked as he scans the area quickly and shoves his hand into his pocket. He pulls out a second later and opens his fist to reveal gummy vitamins, the ones covered in sugar that your parents used to trick you with to take them. Here, take these. You kids need our vitamins, he insists, trying to shove them at me. At this point, I'm done being polite, and I loudly shout, Uncle Tim! He's there in a flash and nearly gave the guy a heart attack, as he must not have realized the huge guy in the next aisle was with us. We're Asian, he's Caucasian, and since my aunt is Asian, my cousin looks more like us than him. The guy takes one look at my uncle and dashes for the front door. My uncle chases him, but he's much slower, as this guy is surprisingly fast for a mid-50s man, and by the time my uncle gets to the entrance, the guy has jumped into a car with the engine still running and peels out. My uncle informs the store clerk, who in turn calls the police, who show up 20 minutes later and can't really do anything about the situation, as we didn't get a license plate. We do give a description, and they sent a patrol car out to look for him, but by then he was long gone. We ended up going straight home after, as the incident shook my uncle up really badly, and I think to this day, he still blames himself for not sticking directly by our side. It's only a couple days later that shit actually hits the fan. The guy had dropped the gummy vitamins on the floor in his haste to leave, and the police had taken them to get tested. The results came back, and the stuff I thought at the time was sugar wasn't actually sugar. It was meth powder. So to the sick fuck that tried to give little kids gummy bears coated with meth, I honestly hope you rot in hell. Note, my parents were informed of the incident and nearly had a heart attack, especially when they found out about the contents of the gummies. We did go to a police lineup about a week later to try to identify the guy, but none of the suspects were him. All I could tell the police was that he was Santa Claus.